they will be building things. You'll see buildings gonna start jumping up, just like with Yahya myself when we first started in Islam here in this country. There wasn't a whole bunch of masjids. I think there was like 2 or 3. You know, and there was like a few Muslims, but nothing like today, right? Nothing like today, right, Yahya? Right. We knew everybody. We all knew each other.
He's telling the truth. He's telling you. It was like playing my mind.
We all knew each other. If I could see Yahya 2 blocks away. I said, "Oh, that's Yahya's Kufi. I know that's Yahya. Yahya." I chased him down. You know, because there was no bunch of Muslims. We only had each other. It was a very small group of us. You know, and it's like, you know, we could look at somebody and tell which masjid they came from. It was the MIB, it was Yasin, you know, the State Street guys, and that they were all foreigners. We didn't, you know, they didn't mingle with us, and we didn't mingle with them back then. See? So altogether, I say if there was a good 5 mosques in the boroughs, that was a lot. Nowadays, you got 10 mosques in these neighborhoods. There's mosques everywhere. There's millions of Muslims everywhere. If they had 500 of us before, that was a lot. Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Adu.
How are you?
How you feeling today? Alhamdulillah. Okay, I was waiting for you. Alaikum salam tullah.
One last question. So what was the Sheikh's name that helped Dr. Suleiman doing your bring up establishment of this mosque?
Sheikh Khalil Mahmoud Al-Husari, the leading Quranic reciter in the world at his time. Sheikh Khalil Mahmoud Al-Husari. So if you go online and you say Sheikh Khalil Mahmoud Al-Husari, something's going to pop up with this picture of this Egyptian man with his Al-Azhar clothes, and it's going to say that Sheikh Husari is the man who everyone came to pass their test of tajweed if they want to become reciters of Quran, like for scholarship wise, you know, like from the country. See, they had to go through him first to be approved that they were saying it properly. Sheikh Khalil Mahmoud Al-Husari was like the royalty of the Quranic reciters. When he felt that it was necessary to help Dr. Dunya, he found that Dr. Dunya was trying to build this masjid. I'm not talking about no fairy tale. This masjid. And then he said, he flew from Egypt to this country, and he made a recording. Surat al-Maryam, all of the small surahs, Falaq, Nas, Yasin, and Surat al-Kahf. He made a recording with these on the recording. Then the recording was so old they didn't have this type of machine anymore. It was the big record like that. You know that big record? What they call it, 78?
Oh, the 78.
You too young to know about that.
Yeah, the 78. It wasn't the old reel to reel. They didn't use reel.
No, it wasn't.
He didn't have reel
when they printed it out, it was on a big record like this, 78.
Oh, the big 78.
And it was a white and blue cover with Sheikh Khalil Mahmoud Al-Husari, his name, his half of his body like that, and he, you know, and they're talking about what was inside the album. It's the album cover. Yeah. Okay. So they don't tell me about this building. I know about this building. See. Allahumma salli wa sallam barak ala Muhammad. Should I start now?
Yes.
I was Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa tabi'ina lahum bi insan ila yawmiddin. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وآل بيت كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. I want to tell you something. You know, I'm trying my best to give you these lessons, but in comparison to who I took these lessons from, Dr. Suleiman Dunya, I'm like a little baby trying to teach you. He was like a great grandfather. So in measurement, you know, I'm happy I can give you something, but I'm sorry that you couldn't get this from the source, because I don't feel adequate. Like I think I'm doing my best, but I know you're not getting like I got, you know. Assalamu alaikum. Do you know Maurice?
Yes, I'm.
Okay, so point in fact, Maurice went overseas and he studied how to teach people Arabic. He graduated, he came home. So I'm telling him about many people that have done this thing, and for different Islamic subjects, and from amongst our people. Believe me, things are going to change. It's a natural progression of the Islamic society. From the beginning to the end of history in Islam, it will always be a change. The change here will be, as time goes on, the African Americans who have studied and learned, also other Americans that have studied and learned Islam and gone to different universities and spent their time doing it the right way, they are going to become the leaders among their people. It's a natural progression. In the beginning, you had the people who bought the property. Listen to me. The people who bought the property were the ones who were the leaders, because they had bought the property. They put the name up, this is Masjid so-and-so, and they ran it because they spent the money and they found a way to own the property initially. Then you had the people who were charismatic from the gang war days that became Muslims. But they were charismatic. They learned how to say Al-Fatiha and a little bit of Quran, you know, but they didn't have proper Islamic learning, but they were charismatic. And so the other people that knew them from the days before Islam knew how charismatic they was the leader of the gang and different stuff. They became the imams of the mosque. You hear me? And then as time went on, people like Dr. Dunya, who came and taught us about the necessity of scholarship, then it kind of, some young guys started waking up. They were like, oh, now they're going to learn. They're coming back. Believe me, they're coming back. Now, what people like me are doing, I'm holding down the fort. I'll wait for them, so I can just go someplace and go fishing. I'm waiting for them. See? Because they're going to the source and they're going to bring it back with them. Now, what we have to hope is that, you know, they come back and they're not afraid to be who they are. Because what happens sometimes is that, you know, like, they have the Arabic syndrome. The Arabic syndrome is that sometimes the Americans from history, from our chattel slavery days, we looked at everybody else as more worthy than ourselves. So what they do is they always took a back seat, to everybody. Always take a back seat. What I'm hoping is that through their education, that they will see that they don't have to take a back seat anymore, and they'll start speaking up. Just because somebody's in front of you speaking Arabic don't mean necessarily that, you know, he knows all Islamic stuff. Not necessarily. You got a cab driver, because he speaks Arabic, he's gonna just try yelling at you that you don't know nothing because he sees the Arabic-speaking person come from an Arabic country. Doesn't mean that he was in that Arabic-speaking country learning Islam. This is stuff that he may have just picked up from his neighborhood, from his parents, anything like that, you know. But now you got people from here who have actually gone and took scholarship. The same way you go to any college, university in this country, they go to colleges and universities overseas. So they learn technically. When they come back, they shouldn't be afraid. They should come back with their technical learning and start putting it to work. You understand? And there's a lot of them. I'm not talking about one or two guys. I'm talking about they all over the place. Things have to change. There's going to be a change. Believe me. I don't care what nobody thinks. I don't care if they don't like it. They can say, Sheikh Ameen, you shouldn't be saying, it's going to change. This is the way it is. This is the history of Islam when it goes to a country. Ibn Khaldun, you read it. Look at the Muqaddimah. You see, he explains it in detail. Some of the things he says, you know, you're going to take offense to it. But he talks about black people. But in regards to historically, how the progression of Islam goes throughout all societies, when Islam comes into that society, you can look at the history of the society, you see it. You can see it from its history. We're in that same process right now. It won't change. Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Muhammad. You want to, Assalamu alaikum. That's the director. You want to ask me a question? Somebody was asking me a question. Okay.
About when we raise our hands?
Oh, yeah. You asked me how many, because, you know, I told you guys that
people raise their hands.
People were raising their hands all the time, saying that they are following the Madhab of Imam Malik. You know, because, you know, Imam Malik is traditionally the person that people who raise their hands, they always point to, you know, oh, that's Imam Malik's way. Even though in Imam Shafi's Madhab, they also raise their hand. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak. So, he asking me, what is the right way to do that? Because sometimes you see people, after every movement, they raise their hands. This is wrong. The sunnah is that when you first say Allahu Akbar, what they call Takbirs to Ihram, you raise your hands. In the Madhab Imam Malik, you don't necessarily have to raise your hands like that. You can do it like this. This is considered as enough also, yes. Then, after you do Takbir to Ihram, you're going to now raise your hands when you make ruku. So when they're going to after they finish reciting the Fatiha and the Quran, they're going to say Allahu Akbar. When they do that, for ruku, you raise your hands. When they say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, you raise your hands. Put them down. When they say Allahu Akbar, they're going to sujood, you do not raise your hands again. Do not raise your hands again. When you stand up for the second rakat to start to recite al-Fatiha from the last sujood in the first rakat, you do not raise your hands again. Okay? When you do ruku, again you raise your hands. When you stand from ruku, again you raise your hands. When you go into sujood, you do not raise your hands again. Okay? Now, we're going to do the third rakat, standing of the third rakat after making a tashahud in the second rakat, the last sitting, right? When you stand up for making a tashahud, I'm going to tell you the best way to remember. When you stand up for making the tashahud in the second rakat and you stand up, you're going to say, Allahu Akbar. Raise your hands. This is the start of the third rakat. In the Madhab of Imam Malik, when the scholars explain this, they say, the prayer used to have, all prayers used to have 2 rakah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us some extra rakah for different prayers. Maghrib became 3, Isha became 4, Zohar became 4, Asr became 4. So, They say that when you stand up from the second rak'ah to start the third, you make that takbir as a symbol that these are now those rak'ah that were added to the beginning period. This is one of the ways to remember. Okay? Other than those that I just told you, when people are putting their hands like this, that is not the sunnah. They are doing something else that they learned from their friend, or that they see other people do it, or that they saw it in their home or something like that. But that is not the scholarly way. Listen to me. The Salaf, the people who are, what do you call them? Salafi, when they make their prayer looks exactly right. I don't care, you can say anything you want to say. When they make their prayer looks exactly right. Okay? If you do like they do it, you would be doing according to Imam Malik, rahmatu alayhi. Okay, now, that answer your question? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. If you are making the Tashahud and remember that you didn't make your second Sajdah, okay, you notice I'm not going backwards, right? Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. If you are making the Tashahud and remember that you did not make your second Sajdah, you should stop what you're doing, make the intention in your mind that you are now in the position of sitting between the first and the second Sajdah, and do it and make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. Do it and make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams for what you added before you remember that you didn't do the second sujood. You want to ask me? Should I explain it again?
Yeah.
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala. You got to go like this, look. Be like I was in class, right? I didn't care what nobody thought. I'm going to get this. So you go, Sheikh, I'm not trying to be hard enough. Can you please explain that again? And he would be happy, because he know that once he explained it enough times, I'm gonna have it. See? But the other guys, they would be sitting there. They didn't want to appear stupid or whatever. You know, not that you can't appear stupid in learning. You can't appear stupid in learning. That's your own imagination. That's your own ego. But look, when it comes to learning, like Dr. used to say, there's no stupid question. You want to know. You ask. Then after you ask, the other people you'll see, they'll be like, I should have asked that myself. That's a good question. I was thinking that too. You understand what I'm saying? So, speak up, man. Don't be afraid. I'm gonna hit you or something. I want you to learn this. Okay, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak. Okay. In this Figh of Imam Malik, this subject of Sujood Al-Sahw, its rules are like this. You can't leave a fard undone and maintain your prayer. You have to do the fard. In this case, this fard that they're talking about is the second sujood of the second rakat. So now you're making a tashahud in the second rakat, and you remember, hey, I don't think I made the second sujood. I think I should be right now sitting in between the sujoods instead of making the tashahud. Following me? In your mind, you make the intention. I'm not making the tashahud. Did you bring the baby? MashaAllah. I'm not making a tashahud. I'm sitting in between the sujoods. Huh? Make your takbir. Allahu Akbar. Make your last sujood. Make your takbir. Allahu Akbar. When you sit down, now you make a tashahud. Make everything that normally would come after in your prayer as if you didn't make no mistake, right? When you finish, you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams because of the things that you added. Sulaiman, how long you been a student with me?
Since I started working for friends in
1974. 1974. So look, when Sulaiman was a student with me, and you walk in the masjid, you would see wall-to-wall Muslims. See these things? There would be so many of these on the floor that you had to like try to tiptoe to find the spot. You had to tiptoe over they were everywhere, right? So the progression now is that the people have gone from scholarship to their own philosophies. It's like they're trying to take a shortcut to reach a level of Islam. You can't do it. What you're doing here is the way. You don't have to do it with me, but whoever you do it with, that's the way you got to do it. You don't pick up no book and go Sujood Al-Sahw. Yeah, it goes like that. No, and then you're going to try to teach somebody. You're going to be teaching them wrong, and you're going to be responsible for that. You understand? Islam says before you can be a teacher, you have to be a student. You can't invent scholarship. You can't do it. You will always be wrong. And the scholars say, even if you guess right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still considering you as wrong. Okay? I'm not pretending here. This is like, I'm trying to give you something. I love you guys, man. You know, I want your children to be successful. You know, but you know, there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. You gotta sacrifice something to get something. That's simple as that. Now, what you gotta do is, once you get it, you're responsible. You gotta give it to other people. You can't just take it home, throw it on the shelf and stuff, and that's that. Oh, I did my part. No, the reason that you do this first is for yourself, so that you can do your practice better, and then for your family, so that you can help them to perfect their prayers, so maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer them too. Then your extended family and your neighbors and people that will listen. But ultimately, it's for the people. It's for the people. You can't just take it and sit on it. Okay.
So, in regards to what you just said, so in that case, so the Sujood Al-Sahw is when you forget to make the second, you're going to recoup the second time.
We are on two different subjects. Listen to me. The name Sujood Al-Sahw means, tell me what it means. That's right. Forgetfulness. So look, this case is when not ruku, but sujood.
That's what I mean.
Okay. I ain't mad at you. So look, this one is when you have missed a sujood. You say, I made one. So if you made one sujood, it don't matter if it was the first one or the second one, because it could only be one. You gotta have two. You understand? Okay. So you're gonna say, when you making a tashahud, or you sitting in between, you're gonna say, I'm not making a tashahud. In your mind, nullify that. I'm making the sitting in between the sujoods. Because remember, I tell you, whenever you want to fix something in your prayer that's faulted, you don't just go to the thing, like in other words, the prayer always has to follow order. So the sujood, what comes before the sujood is the sitting in between the sujoods. See? So, in your mind you say, I'm sitting in between the sujoods, and then you do the last sujood of the second rakat. You sit down, and then you make a tashahud. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say that forgot you had made, you forgot to make a Tashahud, and you forgot, listen to me, and you forgot the second sujood of the second rakat. Go ahead.
That's Sujood Al-Sahw before Salam.
Absolutely. Okay, but listen. We gotta fix what?
We gotta fix the
Far.
which is the Sujood.
Yes, that's right. Okay, now listen to me. Now, because that fart that you have to fix comes before the Tashahud, even though you stood up, you get a chance to fix the Tashahud too. You understand what I said? So in that case, I came to this case especially for Abdul Aro. Okay? This case is different than other cases. Generally, if you stand up and not make a Tashahud, you can't go back and fix it. Because it is a sunnah, and the other movements that come after it are a fard. The rule is you can't leave a fard for a sunnah. See? I got a doctorate student among the ladies. This is her favorite subject. She says because it's like mathematics. So I'm telling you, if you follow the rules and the formula, you will always be able to perfect your prayer. Even if you can make a mistake that's like a crazy mistake, and you know the formula, you could easily repair your prayer and maintain your prayer. Okay, once again, I'm listening. Go ahead. Because you're on the right track for sure.
I was at work one of these days, and I was making a prayer, and I noticed in the prayer that I during the second rakaf I didn't say the surah after Al-Fatiha.
Right.
So I went down to Sujood, and when I went down to Sujood, that's when I remembered. So I got up and I said I started with Al-Fatiha again, then I said the surah, and I went down to Sujood, and then I did the Sujood Al-Sahw after the salam. Is that correct?
No, not correct. Abdu'ado, how come that's not correct, Abdu'ado?
He left the fard to go back to the sunnah.
Absolutely. Because he left the fard to go back and do a sunnah, because the recitation of Quran after Al-Fatiha is called Sunnah Muakkada. It's a major sunnah, but it don't take precedent over the sujood that comes. Yes, the sujood is a fard. So you would have missed the recitation of Quran after Al-Fatiha, and because you had gone into sujood, you can't go back. Or you have made the ruku, you can't go back and recite the surah. You see? So you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams, because you missed a sunnah mu'akkada. You understand the rule? Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
As I understand, like in the Maliki Mazhab, niyyah is considered a fard, right?
Yes.
So, could a person change their niyyah for the prayer?
While they're in the prayer already?
Yes.
No. They have to, the niyyah have to precede the action. Like let's say, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Let's say you didn't make dhuhr, and now you're gonna make asr. But Zuhr and asr have the exact same amount of rakats and done in the same way. According to Imam Malik, if you stood up and you made the niyyah for asr when you should be making dhuhr, and someplace in the prayer you realize, oh, I'm not in asr, I'm in dhuhr. You can't stop there and switch from making asr to making dhuhr. You have to stop the whole prayer, because why? In the madhab Imam Malik, you can't have asr before dhuhr. If you make asr before dhuhr, both prayers are invalid. You have to make dhuhr first, then asr. So in this case, you would have to stop your prayer, make a new niyyah. That was I have to make. I'm making dhuhr, not as. You understand what I'm saying? So they don't allow you. They don't allow you to change your niyyah, like for prayers, in the middle of the prayer if you have made a mistake in your niyyah. You could be like going to do some badness, had the niyyah to do something bad, a bad action, and then just when you get ready to do the bad action, you change your niyyah, say, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something better. They allow you to do that. But not the technical things like in the prayer. You have to have, the niyyah have to precede the action. Yes.
So what if it was a situation, say, a person goes into a masjid and they don't see anyone there, they start praying to Asr. And then a group of people come in and start praying Asr in Jama'ah. Could a person cut their prayer off then
and join them?
Yes.
He's praying Asr.
Yeah, he's praying Asr.
And they're praying Asr.
Yes.
And once he started, and then they came in and started praying Asr, absolutely. He could go right and stand in the line with them and start all over with them.
Why is that? What's the...
Because to make your prayer in Jama'ah is bigger than to make it by yourself. So what you do is, you say the niyyah that when the prayer that you're making, you make that in your mind. Well, that's a nafus. This is going to be my fard that I'm making with them. You understand? As long as you and them are making the same prayer. Like, if they were making, if you were making dhuhr and hadn't made as, and they came in and they were making as, and you still was making dhuhr, you couldn't leave your dhuhr. They go join them to make as to get the benefit of praying in Jama'ah. No. Because in Imam Malik's Mazhab, the dhuhr have to precede the as. If you put the as before the dhuhr, neither prayer would be valid. Follow me? Everybody understand what I said? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Yes, Isa.
When we talked about on the phone, for Muslims, they
wait, and when we took what?
Talked about on the phone.
Oh, that's another subject. I can't go to another subject.
But this got significance.
Oh, with this, oh, you're go ahead. I believe you. Go ahead.
Now we talked about the Christian and Jew. Now we talk about the Muslims. The Muslims neglect their salat. And they be put in their grave. They have to make their salat up in the grave.
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. No. Whatever action that you haven't performed by the time you get in the grave, that's done. You owe that. But when they mean what they mean when they say you owe it, don't mean that you have a chance to make it up. Whatever you haven't made up by the time you go into the grave, that's it. That's held. That's one check against you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's gonna say to you, oh, you owe this. Depending on how much good you did, He can like take away some of what you owe. He can give you benefit of your good actions to wipe away some bad actions. If you was like a really good guy and you tried to do good things, but you have made some mistakes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may even hide those mistakes that other people don't realize that you had done, whatever it is. But your actions, this time in the world is the time of action. This is the time of work. After your time here, there is no more, you can't do things to make up. You understand? Only thing you have then is either punishment or reward. Punishment or reward. But that whole thing of, I owe prayers, no, that's not what it means. It don't mean, I gotta go back and make 15 zuhrs and 30 asrs or something. Then, no. Once you go in the grave, you messed up. You owe 30 asrs and 15 zuhrs, and Allah gonna give you what you deserve for mistake you made. You got what I'm saying? Okay. Yes, brother. Tell me your name again.
James.
Okay, James.
Okay. We get up for Fajr prayer.
Yes.
And so we have one brother that he may not be as sharp with his tajweed
Okay.
as the next brother.
Okay.
And the brother makes a mistake in the recitation.
Okay.
And instead of, the other brother who's better in his tajweed
In Tajweed.
steps out of the ranks. He steps out of the ranks and he doesn't pray with us. He waits until we finish praying, and then
He started his own prayer.
starts his own prayer.
Stop it, so what? So what? The reason that, Allahumma salli wa sallam barakallahu ala Muhammad. The reason that you probably think that he's really better in Tajweed is only because there's nobody there that's an expert in Tajweed. Because if there was somebody there, I guarantee you, if there was somebody there who knew Tajweed, they would consider him as not knowing Tajweed either. Probably his voice may just sound a little better, but Tajweed is a whole different thing. Okay, you got to learn Tajweed just like you learn mathematics, right? So look, the reason he's not so good at Tajweed is because he's not good in the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Sunnah, if you study the history of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions and their children and the scholars of Islam, the people we call Salih Salihin, it means the people we should follow, you will never see something like that you just explained to me. So that means that he's doing what? He's inventing his own Islam. You understand? No, there's no precedent in Islam for inventing your own Islam. There's no precedent in Islam for embarrassing people. There's no precedent in Islam for putting yourself as I'm better than everybody else. There's no precedent in Islam for that. So that person, of all the people, I don't care if his voice sounds like a bird. I wouldn't follow him. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barakallahu Sayyidina Muhammad. Because many times there will be imams that will be placed in front of you. And sometimes there's like guys standing behind the imam who, on different subjects, they may be a little smarter on that subject because they were trained differently or something like that. But you will never see them try to upstage the imam. That's the worst, some of the worst type of behavior from a Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ left many hadiths on this subject. So, you follow the imam. The only time you will have any type of problem with the imam is if he tries to make prayers not valuable anymore. Like he tries to disband the prayers, or he tries to disband the paying of zakat, or But if just because his voice don't sound 100%, but he's the imam, you follow him. He's the Assalamu alaikum. Is your son going to come and see me today?
Yes, he should be here.
Inshallah. So listen to me. Some things, everything in Islam, one thing have to follow the next thing in order to make it right. You see? Somebody who has a nice voice don't necessarily mean that you want him to actually be the imam person who leads the prayer. Not necessarily. Maybe maybe his voice is nice, but he don't know how to make Sujood Al-Sahw. Or he don't know the fards of the prayer. Or maybe he don't make his body go in the right way when he's making sujood, or when he's making ruku. Maybe he's moving too fast and he's missing fards, or because he got a good voice, that don't necessarily mean he know what he's doing. You follow what I'm saying? So that whole question to me is like, you know, it's a good question. It's a good question, and people have to learn from that type of thing. But yeah, if you get somebody who he's bigger than the Jamaat, don't follow him. Go ahead. I guess it's okay, Abdul. Go ahead.
The reason why I asked the question is very important. Before this transpired, there are a few brothers that stay with me. Good brothers with good hearts. All of us, we don't know a great deal on Islam. That's why we come to class.
Alhamdulillah for you.
And there are some brothers there that I might think are more knowledgeable than us, but they don't come and join us for the congregational salat. They go out to the masjid, which is
They go where?
they go outside to the masjid.
Oh, that's okay.
No, this is fine, right? Except that we all can't go, right? But we established congregational salat. We live at it. And it was told to us by one of the brothers that go out. He said, "You brothers should let this brother lead you in salat because he knows tajweed, and you'll get great benefits from it." And according.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why don't you guys want him to lead you in prayer? That's my question.
Because his dad, he treated people bad.
Okay, that's an answer then. Allahumma salli wa sallam barak ala Muhammad. If you guys have come to the conclusion that I don't want to follow him in prayer because I don't like the way he acts, don't follow him. The other guy, his voice may not be as nice, but you know, does he fulfill the necessities of prayer? He fulfills the necessities of prayer. You're doing exactly right. You don't have to follow somebody. If you know, one of the worst things that can happen to a person, Allahumma salli wa sallam barak ala Muhammad, is that he's acting as imam, while the people that are standing behind him don't like him. They have hatred for him. They don't like him, and he's acting as imam. When that happens, that's like he's have people making dua against him with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ummah is behind him making dua against him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He cannot be successful unless he change. See?
But we were told it would be a sin if we didn't follow him.
It'd be what?
It's sin if they didn't follow.
If you don't follow him? No, they're wrong. They can't tell you that. That's not true. That's not true. Not true at all. Not true at all. Because, you know, if you go into different masjids, let me tell you something. Listen. You go into different masjids, right? The hadith say that in later periods, the best people from among the Muslims will be the person in the back. Won't be the person leading the prayers and stuff. The best one will be the one in the back. Because he'll be like trying to stay away from leadership. He don't want to be, you know, known. He'll be in the back, okay? So occasionally somebody will look back there and they'll say, "Oh, that's so and so." No, come forward. And you know, but before they have the right to to replace the imam who's going to lead the prayer, they will ask him, "Imam, it's okay?" "Yes, go ahead." And then he will let somebody else lead the prayer that, you know, he knows has the qualifications already. He's a nice man and people admire him, or they want to learn from whatever it is, you see? So you're going to find many times there are people that's behind the imam that actually are better at it than he is. But they just shun that responsibility. It's not that they don't know. You know, if you look, sometimes you look on the front line, you may see some old guy on the front line that's praying behind the imam. He has good etiquette. He's not going to like try to push himself up to I should be the one. They don't do that. They'll stand back You know, and if there's ever any problem with like the imam, the person who's acting as the imam, the people themselves will go to him and say, listen, imam, no disrespect to you, we like you, you're a nice guy, but we would rather for this brother here to lead the prayer. You have the right to do that, unless it's like in a situation like this one where the imam is paid, he's a salaried employee. So it's like his job is to lead the prayers and stuff. But if it's not like that, slowly. If it's not like that, you have the right to say, well, you know, we'd rather follow him than to follow him. Especially if the guy is not like an ulama or something. Like, no, like it would be different if you was telling me about some guy who graduated from Al-Azhar, and, you know, the guy who's leading the prayer, he didn't even go to public school, and, but the people want to pray behind the guy who didn't go to public school and shun the guy from Al-Azhar, then I would tell you, no, you can't do it like that. But if you got two guys and one just have a nicer voice than the other one, don't matter. It's no sin. He may not. Listen, man. You gotta talk to him and find out. Do he know? Well, what's the odds of the prayer? He may not even know that. He don't even listen to them guys. Tell them. Know what you tell them? Say, I think you guys should come to class with me and sit down and talk with Dr. Sheikh Dunya. Sheikh Dunya's student, Sheikh Ameen, and ask him those type of questions, and maybe get a better understanding, because they're telling you what they think. They're not telling you what they know from scholarship. You following me? Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Muhammad. I have to go back to Assalamu alaikum. I have to go back to my lesson because I'll be running out of time soon. And my friend Haji Ibrahim had to go to Morocco, so I got to make sure that somebody is following the calendars and for the azan and stuff like that, which stuff that he usually takes care of. Allahumma salli wa sallam barakallahu Muhammad. Okay, the next question. Missing a fard, not from the last rakat. Suppose you are in the first or second rakat of Zohar, Asr, or Isha. The first or the second rakat of Zohar, Asr, or Isha. Consider that the ruku has been made and you are in Sajdah. When you remember that you did not say Al-Fatiha. Wait. Let me just finish this.
I was gonna answer.
Huh?
I was gonna answer.
You want to answer?
I thought you were done with the question?
You want to answer? Okay, go ahead. I want to hear this one. Go ahead.
Right. So, you in Sujood, and you didn't do Al-Fatiha. And it's the second, you said it's the second one?
The first or the second rakat.
First or the second one. You make the niyah, the intention to say Al-Fatiha. You stand up, you say Al-Fatiha, and then you go back into ruku, and then you go back into sujood. Now,
well, you kind of getting it right. Let me stop you before you go any further. Okay, Allahumma salli wa sallam barakallahu. You should stand, say Al-Fatiha, and say everything that comes after the saying of that Al-Fatiha. Do everything that you normally would do once you stand and say Al-Fatiha, and make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams, because you didn't remember that you didn't recite Al-Fatiha until you had done some other actions. Those other actions would be considered as adding to the prayer. Assalamu alaikum. When you add to the prayer, you make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams, right? Yes. Okay, so that in this case, what we're saying is, you're making sujood, and in sujood, so we're gonna take one rakat at a time. That's how you get lost, because sometimes I go a little too fast. We're gonna take one rakat at a time. You in sujood, you missed a fard that's not from the last rakat. That means it could have been from any rakat before the last rakat. But we know it's not in the third rakat because,
We didn't do the action yet.
That's right, because we didn't do it yet. We didn't stand for the third rakat yet. But it could have been in the first rakat, or it could have been in the second rakat. Right? So now you make a sujood of the second rakat. So the first thing we're going to do is say, oh, it was in the second rakat that I didn't make a Fatiha. So everything that you did in the second rakat before you went back and made a Fatiha is nullified. And that those things would be considered as adding to the prayer. So you're going to go back with a niyyah. So stop everything I'm doing. Stand up. Allahu Akbar. Make al-Fatiha. Make everything that normally would go after al-Fatiha in that rakat. And when you finish your prayer, you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams for what you added before you realize you did not do al-Fatiha in that rakat. Okay, that's one scenario. If it was the first rakat that you forgot to say al-Fatiha in, you should go back and say it as long as you have not stood from ruku of the second rakat. So, the ruku of the next rakat is the cutoff point from being able to go back and just fix the mistake of the rakat that's in. If you have made ruku of the next rakat, when that happens and you miss the fard in the rakat before it, the rakat before it becomes invalid. Invalid. You got me now, Abdul? Okay. So that means you can't just fix al-Fatiha, or if it was the ruku, you can't just fix the ruku, or if it was sujood, you can't just fix the sujood, or if it was standing from ruku, you can't just fix that. You gotta fix the whole thing. Because you stood from the ruku of the next rakat. That makes the rakat that you made the mistake in gone. Invalid. Wait, y'all. That rakat now have to be replaced because this prayer, let's say it's Zohar. How many rakats does prayer have to have? Four. So if one became invalid, that first rakat became invalid, how many would you have?
3.
You have to do what? Add a rakat to make it 4. You understand? Okay, you may not exactly understand fully, but as we go along, by the time, inshallah, by the time I finish this subject with you in the next few weeks, you're going to be a professional at this. It's like I'll be asking you questions, you'll be answering me all. Everybody be trying to answer at the same time. You see? So don't worry, you're getting it. I can tell already you're getting it. Yes.
Yeah, now I was gonna say that I was like coming to that point what you were saying about the rakat, and just make it make that the third rakat, and then we have
to add one. Yeah, you got it. I know you got it. You're supposed to have it. You've been with me for how many years? You're supposed to. If you don't have it by now, I'll be surprised. But anyway, even me, I have to okay, in any type of knowledge, you can't just acquire the information and then, put it on the side. Because what happens is, after a while, it starts slipping away from you. So I have to do the same thing you're doing. I have to go back, study again, listen to it. Yeah, I've been doing this for, 40 years or something. So listen to me. It never gets to the point where you can say, I got it. You got to keep working. It's the same thing with your religion, other things, and your iman, your faith, your practice. on everything. Never get to the point where you say, I'm the man, I got it. Because when you do that, that means that you don't have it. You are putting yourself in a bad position. You should always say, this is the sunnah. You should always say, I could do better. I have to do better. I have to work harder. See, I have to do more. That's the right way. Don't think that I got it. I'm better than everybody. I can do it. They can't do it. This type of stuff. This is all nonsense. This is not the This is not the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muslims should always be humble people. You know, even if you have it a little bit better than the next man, you don't want to howl that over them. What you want to do with, if you have it a little bit better than the next guy, you want to pull him on the side to you, say, come here. This is what you should be doing. It should go like this. But don't do it in a way to embarrass him. Don't do it so that, you know, other people be looking, oh, he knows more than him. Oh, look, he's straightening him out. No, don't do it that way. You want to take him to the side so that other people are not like, you know, looking and everything and listening. And then you know, let me teach you how to do this better. Because that's what it's about. This learning is not to make you a big cheese. It's to help the society. Help the ummah. So when you teach somebody else, you're doing the sunnah. You learn, but first you gotta learn. You learn, then you teach it to somebody. They learn from you, then they teach it to somebody. And this is the practice that we keep our Islam strong. Okay? Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Rasulillah. So, that you forgot to say Al-Fatiha in, you should go back and say it as long as you have not stood from ruku of the second rakat. Okay? Because if it was the ruku of the second rakat, that means that first rakat is, I keep saying this because I want you to get the system. The first rakat is invalid if you stood from the ruku of the second rakat and the problem was in the first rakat. Now, because the prayer has 4 rakats and you wiped away one, you only have 3, you're going to have to make one more, and then you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. That's right. That's right. Alhamdulillah. Okay. If it was from the second rakat, you should correct your mistake as long as you have not stood from ruku of the third rakat. Because if you stood from the ruku of the third rakat, that would mean what? The second rakat would be invalid. Now I'll listen, yes.
Yeah, so if you make a mistake in the first 2 rakats and you stand in from ruku in your last rakat, now do you start from the where you made a mistake at over?
No.
Or you just add on a rakat?
Okay, listen to what you're saying. Listen. When you stand from the ruku of the rakat that comes after, either is if the problem was in the second or the first rakat, and you stand from the ruku of the third, that means one of those rakats that you made the mistake in becomes invalid. So you're missing a whole rakat. So you have to replace a whole rakat. You see? So when you go to replace the whole rakat, you don't say, "Oh, I'm in the third rakat, but I got to replace the first rakat. So let me do the first rakat." No, you don't do that. That's not what you do.
That's only so you're only replacing the fard when you're in the rakat. Like when you're in that rakat, that's the only time when you go back and replace it.
Absolutely. If you haven't made the ruku of the next rakat, you got it. That's it. That's it. That's the formula. That's it right there. You got the formula. If you can keep that in your mind, you will not make. You will always be able to fix up that prayer. Assalamu alaikum. You see? Of course, we're going to go over it enough times so that what you just said just now is going to become like, for you, it's going to become like science. you know, you gotta know exactly the mathematics of fixing your prayer. So that's what I'm doing here with you. When you finish this, nobody can tell you about this prayer. They may have better tajweed, but if they haven't taken these type of lessons, they will not understand the prayer better than you. You understand me? That's why sometimes the ulama, the person who is the better reciter, he may not be the one that's going to recite the prayer, because if the other one can recite the adequately, but he knows more science of the prayer, more fiqh. You know, I've seen them talk to each other like that. You know, and so some say no, he should do it. You know, he's the champion of the fiqh. You know, and then others would like, you know, they would prefer to hear the other guy's voice, but there's no, you know, the precedent is always, generally, always the one who is the most educated person in this land that should be the leader. Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Okay. Standing from the ruku of the following rak'ah in these situations cancels your chance to go back. Now, what they mean by go back, they mean to go back and just start from fixing where the problem was. You understand, Abdul? You understand, right? It doesn't mean that you can't fix the prayer. It means that once you stand from the ruku of the following rakat, you can't just fix from the sujood and go forward, or fix from the ruku and go forward. When you stand from the following rakat, that means that whole rakat that you made the problem in before you stood from the ruku of the next rakat is gone. So you can't just fix the problem, you got to fix the whole rakat. You follow what I said? Yes.
So how do you fix rakat? You start over from you start over?
No, that's the question he asked. The way you fix the rakat is I'm gonna make it easy for you. At the end of your prayer, you're gonna look back and see, how many rakats do I have? How many valid rakats do I have? Whatever you're missing, that's where you're gonna repair it. Let's say, wait. I'm gonna make it easy for you, because you know it gets more detailed as you go forward. But just because you asked the question now, and I know that when you go home tonight, that problem may come to you, because that's what happens in this lesson, in these lessons. You learn these lessons, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you in a position where either you was listening or you wasn't listening, because He gonna put you in a position where you gotta put this to use. That's just the way it goes. It happened to all of us. Okay? Now listen to me. When you get to what would be your last rakat, right? But you know you made some mistakes in your prayer, that maybe some rakat in some place was nullified, gone. So now you have less rakats than you normally would have. You have to make Sujood Al-Sahw, of course, but you have to look at what was the mistakes. Did I leave off anything? Did I add anything? Before you could say where you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw. That's the first thing. The next thing is, how many rakats do I owe to this prayer? Well, you can't go back and make those up. You're making those up now at the end. You understand what I said? Let's say you had made a mistake in 2 rakats. And 2 of those rakats, you missed fards. And then you made the 3rd rakat with the ruku. You don't remember until now you're in the 4th rakat. And then you say, oh, I didn't do something in the 1st rakat that was a fard, and I didn't do something in the 2nd rakat that was a fard, and I didn't remember till I had done the 4th rakat, that ruku. Okay. That means that 2 rakats you know you don't have. You gotta add 2 rakats to where you are now to make your prayer valid. You understand? Now in adding those 2 rakats, there's some things that you may not be able to fix. Like the Tashahud. You may not be able to fix that back in those 2 rakats. Because you're putting them at the end now. You understand? So that means that you're going to have missed something and you're going to have added something. Because you're going to add from before you realize that you have made the mistake. That means you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. Because you have something missing and you have something added. And what's the rule?
To leave something out is bigger than to add.
That's one rule. The other rule is that you make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams when you miss and add, and for when you miss. If you add something, you make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. You getting it? But look, it's okay, because this is only the beginning of the subject. Remember, I always tell you, you look in the prayer book, right? You know, you go in the store, you buy a little prayer book. You look in there, they got a paragraph like this that says Sujood Al-Sahw. That paragraph tell you, make 2 prostrations after the prayer. That's not the subject. It's not the subject. That's something that, you know, they give to people who, Assalamu alaikum. They give to people who have not taken any type of lesson, and, you know, a little something is better than nothing. You understand? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He only hold you responsible for what you know and what you can do. He don't hold you responsible for what is out of your ability. But if you know you don't know something, like I'm teaching this lesson now, so people are listening to me, and they say, you know, he's right. I never really studied that subject, but I just make 2 prostrations after salams in my prayer, because that's what I've read in the book. Well, yeah, that was good for before you heard this talk. After you heard this talk, now you got to investigate. You got to go, well, maybe, I got to do better, because now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is holding you responsible. Like this. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. The people who have never heard the message of Islam, they're on some mountaintop somewhere, they never had no contact with people, whatever it is, or Islam hadn't reached their area yet, they're not responsible for that. Because they can only be responsible for what they know about. See? You listening to me? Now, later on, it's time? Okay, you let me know.
What time they call you?
Whenever he gets ready, he knows. He's the mu'adhin. Okay? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Okay, so look. When Islam comes to the country, like this country, and only like 5 or 6 people, 10 people, they actually know about Islam, something, they're practicing it. The whole society is not going to know about Islam. So in the beginning, people had an excuse. Allah wasn't going to hold them responsible then. But now it's different. Now, you turn on the radio, you look at the newspaper, you see people around you all the time, these kufis speaking Arabic and saying Assalamu alaikum and so on. This whole society now knows about the existence of Islam. So now the society is responsible. They can't go before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He asked them, why didn't you make it? I didn't know about Islam. No, because everybody knows now, so everybody's responsible. You follow what I'm saying? It's the same thing with Islamic knowledge. So if somebody says, well, I don't know about Sujood Al-Sahw, I thought it was like making 2 prostrations. Okay, that was fine. Until you find out from some manner or some way that is more to the subject than that, then their responsibility then becomes to learn it the way it should be. Not just to keep following something that was convenient. You understand what I'm saying to you? Okay. I did my best. You want to ask me anything else before I stop now? Because let me hold your right hand, pen. No, he has one right there. I'm going to use this for a second.
I got a question.
Okay, I'm going to answer you. The next part is going to be missing a fard, not from the last rakat, but losing the chance to go back because you made the ruku of the following rakat. How are we going to fix that prayer? That's where we're going to go next. Okay, now I'll listen to you.
So, I'm a bit confused about, fixing, making up rakats after
Okay.
you make mistakes. So, how do you make those 2 rakats after you make salams? After you do.
No, listen to me. Allahu Akbar. If you catch the problem before you have made the ruku of the next rakat, you can just fix the problem of the rakat that came before it. You don't have to do a whole rakat. You just fix the problem, and you do what comes after you fix the fard that you missed. You understand? Listen, I'm going to give you even a clearer example. Let's say you didn't make ruku of the second rakat, and now you're in the sujood of the second rakat and realize I went straight to sujood, I didn't make the ruku. What you do, you realize you can fix it by making the ruku. Okay? So what you do is you stand before you make the ruku. You do what? You're standing. So and when you fix something in your prayer, you always go to the thing that came directly before the problem, so that the prayer always has its proper continuity. You stand, you say a few words from the Quran, and then you say takbir, you make ruku. Then you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, you stand from ruku, and you do everything that you normally would do in your prayer. You understand what I'm saying? That means that you have saved that rakat. Now you go forward in your prayer, you do everything that you normally would do until you make salam. When you make salam, you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams for the movements that you made before you remember that you had made that mistake of not making ruku and having to go back and fix it. So you have added some things to the prayer that you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw for. Now let's say that you didn't go back and fix that ruku. Some people don't understand this subject, and so they will think, oh, I missed the ruku, and they can keep going in their prayer. But we know from studying from the Shadal Sagriya that when you miss the fard, what happens? If you don't fix it, your prayer becomes invalid. If you don't fix it, Sujood Al-Sahw does not fix the fard. You have to do the fard itself. You understand what I say? Okay. So you can't just, if you miss a ruku, you don't just keep going forward. You have to fix the ruku. After you fix the ruku, you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams for the things that you added before you remember you had to fix the ruku. Now, let's say that you're in the third rakat and you made ruku. And you realize that the problem was that you missed something forward in the second rakat. Can you fix that? No. How come? Because you made the ruku of the third rakat, and the ruku of the following rakat cuts off your ability to just fix the problem and go forward. You lose that whole rakat once you made the ruku of the next rakat. That means it has to be made. That rakat has to be repaired, made over again. It has to be repeated. You can't just fix the problem and go on. That the whole rakat was lost to you. Allahumma salli wa salam barak ala Muhammad. So, wait. You're gonna add at the end of your prayer one whole rakat. Okay. Because you can't just fix the problem of the rakat that came before the ruku was made. That whole rakat gets lost. If you don't make ruku, you can go back and fix that problem and do everything forward. You got me? You understand, Abdul? This is your subject. No, you don't understand. Abdul Ado, he writes me about this subject. He texts me about this subject. He calls me about this subject. And so, this is his subject. But I guarantee you one thing, inshallah. When he finished with this subject, he's going to be a professional with this subject. And people are going to start calling him, writing him, texting him. Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Somebody's phone is going off. See, that's not a good procedure, because in the mosque, the adhan is like the thing that keeps us straight in our practice. It's our timing. So let's say if there's somebody over there that was fasting and this was Maghrib time and he heard that from your phone, he may think that the adhan had went off and break his fast. So it's better, in the mosque to keep those things, turn off your phones. But I know you're trying to record, but in general, it's not a good thing to have the adhan going off from people's phones, because it messes up the timekeeping of the mosque, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Somebody asked, yes, Isa. I answered it, alhamdulillah. Okay, wait. He didn't make the adhan yet? No. Okay, go ahead.
So, say a person makes Asr, but they realize after they made it a little bit early before Asr's time comes in.
What do you mean by early? By whose standard? Okay. Listen to me. They set these times up in the mosque because it helps the people to stay organized, to make their prayers at the same time together. Doesn't necessarily mean that by the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us that the prayer time is not already in. It's just that it's convenient and it's nice to have everybody to make their prayer at 12:30. But actually the prayer time came in when your shadow became long enough. Okay, he's going to make azan now. I have to come back to this subject later.
Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
آتي سيدنا محمد الفاضلات والصلاة والدرجات الرافعة وباثوا المقام المحمود الذي وحده إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. Listen to me. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if somebody flies through the air and walk on water but deviate from the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you should not follow him. If he flies through the air and he walks on water, but he deviates from the Sunnah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should not follow him. So this is how, when you think in terms of who you're gonna listen to or follow, You look at their practice of the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his habits, his methodology, his personality to the best of their ability, because nobody's going to be like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam exactly, but you try and be as close to him as you possibly can be. He was not arrogant. He was not selfish. He didn't put himself as the king. See, so we have to look in terms of who we follow, that they should be closely resembling the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ma tawfiq illa billahi. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in lahum bi ihsan ila yawm al-din. Thank you for coming to visit me. You have to make sure you make your area back like it should be, so that it's time for people's prayers. And anyone who has to talk to me after this now, come into my office back there. But listen, don't make noise and talk in circles. This is not the right way in Islam. We should now line up and become ready for the prayer, inshallah. Okay? Assalamu alaikum.